Because every time we have a discussion, I'll try to narrow down if you can just remember one thing, class. I try to point out what is the most important thing for you to incorporate in your hopefully growing stock knowledge class. And for this topic class, I cannot be more serious than if you can only remember one thing from this topic class. Let it be the requirements for a lease to be classified as a finance lease. Forget everything that we will discuss today. If you can only remember one thing, let it be the criteria for the classification of a lease into a finance lease. That would be the single most important thing for you to take away for today. That's the most important thing for you to incorporate in your stock knowledge class. Okay, you can argue, sir, there are 5 things to remember. Still, the bottom line is those are the criteria for classifying whether or not a lease is a finance lease or an operating lease. Your discussion in your financial accounting subjects class is so much more complicated than what you will have to apply in the questions that can come out in the CMA examination. Okay, the focus here will not be so much on the computation, but there will still be computational questions. But really, it's on your ability to classify a lease as a finance lease or an operating lease. And again, if you can only remember one thing, let it be the criteria for classifying a lease as a finance lease or an operating lease. If any of the criteria is present, then the lease will be classified as a finance lease. If it cannot be classified as a finance lease, then it will be treated as an operating lease. So in a finance lease, basically, you are acquiring the asset already. All the risks and rewards over the leased asset will be transferred to the lessee. Okay, I hope you're not confused anymore with the parties involved, the lessor and the lessee. The lessor is the one who owns the leased property. The lessee is the one using it or leasing it. Okay, in a finance lease, basically all the risks and rewards are transferred already to the lessee. Okay, it's just that it's as if the lessee has already acquired it and the payment is just through a loan. Everything else, if it will not qualify as a finance lease, it will be treated as an operating lease. And basically, our common understanding of a lease is what we refer to as your operating lease. A regular rental arrangement is what we refer to as your operating lease. So again, this could be asked as an essay question. Okay? When can a lease be considered as a finance lease? And all you have to do is to remember the 5 criteria. Okay? Let's start with, let's go over the 5 criteria first. First, there is a transfer of ownership to the lessee at the end of the lease term. Okay. Letter B. The second, there is an option to purchase the asset at a price significantly below expected market value at the end of the lease term. Letter C, the lease term is for a major part of the remaining economic life of the underlying asset. Next, fourth, the present value of the minimum lease payments exceeds substantially all of the fair value of the underlying asset. And last, the underlying asset is so specialized for the lessee that it is expected to have no alternative future use to the lessor at the end of the lease term. So those are the 5. If you can write those 5 down in the essay question, then definitely you will get a full mark. Okay, the question now, the challenge now is how are we going to remember these 5? So the first one, what do I want you to remember? Transfer of ownership. Okay, with that phrase alone, that will be easier to remember and just convert it into a complete sentence. When will the transfer of ownership happen? At the end of the lease term. Where, to whom will the transfer go, class? The transfer of ownership will be to the lessee. Okay, but at its core, the first thing to remember for the first criteria is transfer of ownership. To whom? Lessee. When? At the end of the lease term. Again, what's the criteria? transfer of ownership. To whom? To the lessee. When? At the end of the lease term. Second would be BPO. What does BPO stand for? Bargain purchase option. If there is the bargain purchase option, then that lease will be considered as a finance lease. Then it is up to you now to come up with your own understanding what is a BPO, what is a bargain purchase option. It is the option to purchase the leased asset at a bargain price. It's not even difficult to remember, class. BPO stands for bargain purchase option. And what does that represent? It represents an option to purchase the underlying asset or the leased asset at a bargain or discounted price. Who is given this option? If the lessee has this option, then the lease will be considered as a finance lease. So far you should have memorized the two already. What's the first two? First is transfer of ownership. Transferred to the lessee when? At the end of the lease term. Second is BPO. What does BPO stand for? Bargain purchase option. What does it represent? An option to purchase the underlying asset at a bargain price. What do we mean by a bargain price? A price that is significantly below the expected market value. Okay, but of course, the market value at the end of the lease term. Okay, but if you just be able to convert bargain purchase option as a complete sentence, class, then we'll give that the full credit already for this criteria. But please do not write down simply BPO lang, class. Okay, what are the criteria? Letter A, transfer of ownership. You did not even make a complete sentence. Letter B, BPO. That's not acceptable, class. Although I do not know how they will check. I do not know how the CMA examination will check the essay, class. But definitely, I think it would help if your answer would look longer, class, instead of just writing down BPO. Okay? What's the third one? Yeah, 75 is correct, but what I want you to remember is major part, class. Okay? Here it states that the lease term is for a major part of the economic life of the underlying asset. So the phrase I want you to remember is major part. Major part of what? Of the remaining economic life. Whose life? The underlying asset. So what I want you to remember for the third criteria? Major part. Whose major part? Major part of the economic life of the underlying asset. A major part of the remaining economic life of the underlying asset. Okay, but again, there is no clear definition as to what constitutes major part, class, of the remaining economic or useful life. But as practice, what is considered to be major part is if the lease term is 75%. Okay, so you can remember both major part and 75%. But I hope you get what I'm trying to avoid. You might just write major part 75%. That does not make sense, class. Okay, you can remember major part 75%, but please make it into a complete sentence, class. Major part of what? Part of the remaining economic life of the underlying asset. And you can make an additional explanation that what constitutes major part would be if the lease term is at least 75% of the useful life of the asset. Okay, so far we have three. What are these three? First, transfer of ownership to whom? To the lessee when? At the end of the lease term. Second is BPO. BPO stands for bargain purchase option. And what does it represent? An option to purchase the underlying asset at a bargain price. What do we mean by bargain price? A price that is significantly lower than the expected market value of the underlying asset at the end of the lease term. What's the third one? Major part. Major part of what? The remaining economic life of the underlying asset. What constitutes? When can we say that the lease term is for the major part of the life of the asset if the lease term is at least 75% of the useful life of the underlying asset. Fourth one is MLP, minimum lease payments. Okay, MLP stands for minimum lease payments. Okay, the PV of the MLP is substantially all of the fair value. Okay, but start from the core. The most important thing for you to remember here is the minimum lease payments, MLP. Okay, but not the aggregate amount of the MLP. It would be the present value of the MLP. So basically, in the fourth criteria, you're comparing two things: present value and fair value. Again, in the fourth criteria, you will be comparing the present value and the fair value. What present value do you need? The present value of the MLP. And what will be compared to the present value of the MLP? You will compare it with the fair value of the underlying asset. Okay? But again, what I want you to remember for the fourth criteria, MLP. What does MLP stand for? Minimum lease payments. And what are you supposed to do in the fourth criteria? Compare present value and fair value. What present value are you going to need? The present value of the MLP. Okay, and you compare it with the fair value of the underlying asset. And what would be the criteria here? If the present value of the MLP is substantially all of the fair value. But when can we say that the present value of the MLP is substantially all of the fair value of the underlying asset? If the PV of the MLP constitutes 90% of the FV of the UA. Okay, if we have difficulty remembering words class, then let's just remember letters class. If PV of MLP is at least 90% of FV of UA. What is UA? Underlying asset. So it is a finance lease if PV of MLP is at least 90% of FV of UA. What is PV of MLP? Present value of minimum lease payments. What is FV of UA? Fair value of the underlying asset. So a finance lease is a lease is a finance lease if PV of MLP is at least 90% of the FV of your UA. But again, technically it's not 90%. What the rule requires is that PV of MLP is substantially all of FV of UA. Okay, but what constitutes substantially all? If it reaches 90%. Okay, so going back, first one is transfer of ownership to the lessee at the end of the lease term. Second is BPO, bargain purchase option, an option to purchase the underlying asset at the bargain price, meaning a price that is significantly lower than the expected market value of the underlying asset. Third is major part of the remaining economic life of the asset. If the lease term is for the major part of the remaining economic useful life of the asset, underlying asset, then it will be a finance lease. What constitutes major part of the life of the asset? 75%. So if the lease term is 75% of the remaining life of the useful life of the asset, then the lease will be considered as a finance lease. Fourth, MLP. Okay, the PV of the MLP should be substantially all of the FV of the underlying asset. The present value of the minimum lease payments should be substantially all of the fair value of the underlying asset. And when can we say that the PV of the MLP is substantially all of the FV of the underlying asset? If it reaches at least 90%. Okay, next, and the last one is specialized use. If the underlying asset is so specialized for the lessee that this is expected to have no alternative future use to the lessor at the end of the lease term. So what I want us to remember here would be specialized use. If the asset is of specialized use to the lessee, then it can no longer be used by the lessor, then the lease would be considered as a finance lease. If there's only one thing you can take away from lease, let it be the criteria for classifying a lease as a finance lease class. Did this come out in the essay question last year, finals last year? Yes. Will this come out in the essay question in the finals this year? I still don't know. But class, imagine if this comes out. And I already told you to remember this class. If there's only one thing for you to remember, let it be this one. And you still did not bother remembering it, class. Okay, you might be able to say, deserve na kung hagbong siguro. Okay, let's go to the practice questions. So anytime you will have questions in your grades class, let's agree if you have questions, all we will have to do is to check whether you answered the criteria for a finance lease correctly. If you got it wrong, then there's nothing to discuss. You should admit to yourself na you deserve whatever you've gotten. Okay, let's answer the first question. Okay, ABC company wants the lease to be considered an operating lease instead of a finance lease. Which of these items should the company ensure occurs? First choice is leasing an asset with a 10-year life for 8 years. If this happens, if it's 8/10, what's the percentage equivalent class? 80. And does that mean that the lease term is for a major part of the remaining economic life of the asset? Yes. And if that is the case, can this lease still be considered as a finance lease? No. So this should not be the answer. Next choice. We're looking for the condition that will make it that will not make it a finance lease, because what does the company want? It wants the lease to be an operating lease. Okay? Make sure to understand the question also. Next, entering a lease where the present value of the lease payments is 95% of the assets fair value. Okay? You might think, I only remember of 90. What will I do if it's 95? Plus 90 or higher class, then it qualifies the criteria. Okay, so meaning the present value of the minimum lease payments is substantially all of the fair value of the underlying assets. So in this case, the lease will have to be classified as a finance lease, and that is not what we want. So the second choice is also not the answer. Third choice, avoiding a transfer of ownership at the conclusion of the lease. This can help us classify the lease into an operating lease. Because if there will be a transfer of ownership, then that would be a finance lease. Fourth, writing a bargain purchase option into the lease. Definitely that will make it into a finance lease. So the correct answer here is the third choice. Next question. On January 1, 20X5, the company signed a lease for an office building. The terms of the lease required the company to pay $10,000 annually beginning December 30, 20X5 and continuing each year for 30 years. The lease qualifies as a finance lease. On January 1, 20X5, the present value of the lease payments is 112578 at the 8% interest rate implicit in the lease. In the company's December 31, 20X5 balance sheet, the finance lease liability should be, okay, before answering the question, important theory, the initial balance class, the initial carrying amount of the lease liability would be equal to the present value of the MLP. Okay, if you can recall, the measurement for your liabilities class would be at their fair value, and for this kind of liabilities, their fair value would be the present value. Okay, and it would be the present value of the payments. And what kind of payments are relevant here? The lease payments. Okay, so basically, if you're given the present value of the lease payments, that would be the initial balance or the initial carrying amount of your lease liability. So had the question been how much is the initial balance or the initial carrying amount of your finance lease liability, our answer here would be 112,578. But why is our answer here not 112,578? Because we are not asked for the initial balance. We are not asked for the January 1 balance. We are asked for the December 31 balance. Okay? And for this kind of liabilities class, how do they behave? They will normally go down every time there will be payments. So by December 31, is there already a payment class? Yes, because payments happen every December 30. So the beginning balance or the initial balance was 112,578. Your answer on December 31 should not be 112,578. Why? Because there had already been a payment. Okay, and how much was the payment class? 10,000. And how much if you deduct the 10,000 from the 112,578? That would give you 102,578. And that is the answer to this question, correct? No. Because you do not apply the entire payment to the liability. Okay? Class long-term liability, what do? You will have to use the effective interest method wherein you will have to amortize. What happens if you use the effective interest method? The payments will have to be split between the interest component and the principal repayment. And what will be deducted to your liability? Only the principal component. Okay? So first you will have to determine is how much of your 10,000 payment is applicable to the interest. And how do you do that? You compute the interest on the outstanding balance. How much is the outstanding balance? For this problem, the initial balance. How much was the initial balance? 112,578. Okay? And it will earn 8% interest for one whole year. Okay? And how much is 8% of 112,578 class? Rounded up to the nearest ones place. Is it 9,006? Okay? So that means out of your 10,000 payment, 9,006 will go to interest. So it will be recorded as an interest expense. What will happen to the remainder? That will be the amount that would be applied to your liability. So if your payment is 10,000 and the amount of 9,006 is to be applied to interest, that means the amount to be applied to the principal is 994. Okay, so you deduct 994 from 112,578, you would get how much? 111,584. And this is already the answer to this question, correct? Wala na yung confirm. Correct, that is the answer, 111,584. Now, class, you might have unresolved trauma on this topic in your financial accounting class ba? Okay, but unlike in your financial accounting classes, class, I don't think you will encounter problems wherein there will be payment that are made in advance. Okay, many of you will get the problem wrong on lease class because you will fail to consider that the annuity is annuity due and not ordinary annuity. That the payment is not made in advance, that the payment is made at the end of each period. Okay? So you have one thing less to worry here. But I have not encountered the problem wherein the payments are in advance class. Okay? So hopefully you'll be able to resolve any trauma you may have had on lease in your financial accounting classes. Because lease in your CMA examination will not give you the same trauma. Okay? So be open to the idea that this could be an easy topic for you, class. Okay? So again, the answer here is 111584. Next. Now, the third practice question, class, is a common type of question for this topic. It will not even require you to make a computation. It will just ask you to classify, class, whether a lease is a finance lease or an operating lease. So again, you've developed a fear for lease problems, class, but again, the CMA examination on lease will not hurt you, class. Okay, it might just ask you this kind of question lang. Okay, classify a lease into operating or financing. And what knowledge do you need, class? What knowledge do you need to classify a lease into operating lease or finance lease? The only thing I wanted you to remember, class. Okay, many questions will simply require you to make a classification, and the only thing you need is the only thing I ask you to remember out of everything I'm talking about right now, class, and which are the criteria for classifying a lease into a finance lease. Okay, let's go over the problem. Lease A covers 60% of standardized machines' expected useful life. From this portion alone, will it make it a finance lease? No, because for percentage-wise, for it to be a finance lease, it should have 75 or 90? 75, because we're talking about the expected useful life. The present value of the minimum lease payments equals 81%. Okay, will this make it a finance lease? No, because the minimum lease payments has to reach 90%. Interestingly, 90% of 90% is 81. That's not useful. And the owner of the machine retains ownership of the machine at the end of the lease. Is there a transfer of ownership? No. So there are three conditions here, and none of the three conditions will make it a finance lease. So we should be able to come up with a conclusion that lease A is an operating lease, which has increased our chances of getting the correct answer from 25% to 50% because we have eliminated the first and second choice. Okay, in the first and second choice, they have classified lease A as a finance lease. But if you can get lease A correctly, you should also get lease B correctly. Lease B covers 68%. Okay, because we know that it should be 75. Okay, because hopefully, but when you try to answer the question is trying to trick me. Okay, I pity my classmates who would get tricked by this kind of information. Okay, you will not be tricked anymore, class. Okay, you've mastered it should be 75%. So when you're answering the exam, you will be answering it confidently while feeling compassion to your classmates, class. Okay, sila malipatan niya ako, di ko malipatan. Okay, the present value of the minimum lease payments equals 85%. Okay, will this make the lease a finance lease? No, because we know the MLP has to be 90%. Third, and the lessee has the option to buy the asset at the end of the lease for $1. Then you might say, this does not make the lease as a finance lease. Why? What have I remembered? I have remembered BPO. What does BPO stand for? Bargain purchase option. I cannot find BPO anywhere in the problem. Plus, you're buying it for $1 at the end of the lease term. That definitely gives you a BPO. That gives you an option to purchase it at a significantly lower amount. You will only be buying it for $1. So this is what I want to warn you. Do not just mindlessly look for the words I wanted you to remember, class. Understand what those words mean, class. So if it has a BPO, then it will make it as a finance lease. But again, the problem did not use the word bargain purchase option. But here, the problem is telling you that you can buy it for $1. Okay, so that makes the option a bargain purchase option. And with that, are we going to classify lease B as a finance lease? Even if only one of the 5 criteria is present, class, Because again, any of the 5 criteria is sufficient to make the lease into a finance lease. Okay, even if it did not reach the 75%, even if it did not reach the 90%, even if there is no transfer of ownership, as long as any one of the 5 criteria is present, then that will make the lease as a finance lease. So the answer here would be the 4th choice. Lease A is an operating lease and lease B is a finance lease. Next number. If we go to the question, the lease should be classified as, okay, so again, same kind of question, class. We are just being asked to classify. Okay, again, I understand you might have developed trauma for lease, class. Computation for lease in your financial accounting is very, very opposite to what we are dealing with here. Okay. Again, just remember that in your financial accounting, aside from finance lease, there is also sale and leaseback. And you will have to check if the leaseback is an operating lease or a finance lease, but that will not happen here. A firm leases a piece of machinery having an 8-year expected life for 4 years. The lease was properly classified as an operating lease. After the initial lease ended, the company signed the second lease for the same machinery for another 4 years with the same terms as the initial lease. Same annual payment, same implied discount rate, etc. Assuming the market value and the overall expected life of the machine has not materially changed during the 4 years, how should this new lease be classified? So first, the life of the asset was 8 years and you leased it for 4 years. And with that, it was classified as an operating lease. But after 4 years, class, you have leased it again for another 4 years. Okay? So how then should you classify it, class? First, 4 years. Next, 4 years. So basically, you have used it for the entirety of its life. So does that satisfy any of the criteria, class? Yes, you basically use it not just for the major part, class, but for the entirety of its life. So how then should you classify the lease? Definitely, it should no longer be classified as an operating lease. Okay? The second lease should be classified as a finance lease since it satisfies one of the criteria. Okay? Even by reading the third option lang, class, you would be able to say that there is nothing wrong with that option. Okay, let's just try to read the second option to eliminate it from a possible correct answer. The second option is a finance lease since the initial lease was classified as an operating lease and subsequently leasing of the same machinery would be automatically classified as a finance lease. No, that's not one of the criteria. Okay, we've eliminated the first, the fourth choice. The only correct answer here would be the third choice. Next, all of the following are criteria for a lease to be classified as a finance lease. Okay, let's go over the choices. We're looking for the one that is not. Okay, all are criteria except for one. Okay, first, the lease agreement indicates that ownership of the asset transfers to the lessee at the end of the lease term. Okay, this is one of the 5 criteria, class, correct? So this should not be the answer. Second, the lease term is for, class, the problem is not even trying hard to convince you to to choose the wrong choice, class. The lease term is for a minor part. The second thing, is it the second? No, the third thing the third criteria was for major part. So automatic, we know that this is not the correct criteria, thus making it the answer, class. Okay, third choice contains a bargain purchase option. That's the second criteria. Next, the present value of the minimum lease payments exceeds substantially all of the fair value of the underlying asset. Okay, that's the fourth one. So the answer here is the second choice. Because if you look at the study guide, the 5 criteria may appear intimidating to remember it all. But if you've broken it down, class, you can easily remember the entirety of each of the 5 criteria. Okay, next, there's computation. What's the question here? The lease is correctly classified as a finance lease. What is the balance in the lease liability after the second lease payment is made on December 31? Because to answer this question, it does not even require specific knowledge on lease class. This is how you deal with long-term liabilities that have periodic payments class. Okay? You will have to amortize your lease liability. Okay? But still, let's answer this. A company signs a 4-year lease for a piece of machinery on January 1, 20X0 with a first payment of 75,000 being due on December 31, 20X0. As what I've told you, most of the problems here will just be ordinary annuity class. Okay, there's no surprise on annuity due. There will be no payment in advance. Okay, but hopefully you still know what to do in case that happens. And continuing on December 31 thereafter. The company's incremental borrowing rate is 8%, and the rate implicit in the lease is unknown. The present value of the minimum lease payments is 248,410. The lease is correct. Okay. So the initial balance, as what I've told you, would be the present value of the MLP. So if you were asked what's the initial balance of the lease liability, our answer would be 248,410. But why is that not in the answer? Why is that not even among the choices? Because we were not asked for the initial balance. We're asked for the balance after 2 payments class. How much payments do we make every period class? 75,000. Are you just going to deduct 275,000 from 248 class? No, because we know that when we make the 75,000 payments, portion of this is to be applied to your interest. And the amount that will be deducted to your lease liability is only the principal component. Okay, so you will have to amortize. Okay, first, for the first 75,000 payment, how much is the interest component? 19,873. Now this is another thing I want you to remember, class, but I'm not very strict on this one. The only one thing I really want you to remember, class, is just the criteria. But if there's still space in your minds, class, to remember a second thing, let it be the rule on the rate to be used. What is supposed to be the rate that will be used? I hope this was emphasized in your lease accounting class. It should always be the imputed or the implied interest rate or the implicit interest rate. Okay? But in US GAAP, class, remember, in US GAAP, if the implied interest, if the implicit interest rate is not available or not known, what will you use? The incremental borrowing rate. Okay? So that's another thing you should remember for lease class. Again, it's not as important as the first thing I wanted you to remember, class. Okay? Why? If you were not able to remember that, class, if you answered this problem without remembering the rule, supposedly what's the rule? It should be the implicit interest rate. If it's not known, what are you going to do? Incremental rate. Okay, assuming you cannot remember that rule, class. When you look at this problem, the only rate that is available to you is just the 8%. So you can just mindlessly decide to use 8% plus. But for purposes of theory, again, the first priority is to use the implicit interest rate. If it's not known or available, you use the incremental borrowing rate. Okay, but here, only one rate is available to you. So you use the 8%. But again, supposedly, that's not the first priority, class. So what if both are given? What if both are given, implicit and incremental? What are you going to use? When are you going to use incremental? only if implicit is not available or no. Okay, so how did we compute for the interest expense for the first period class? The outstanding liability of 248410 multiplied by 8%, that will give you, rounded up to the ones place, that will give you 19,873. That would be the interest component of your 75,000 payment. So deduct that from 75,000. How much is 75,000 minus 19,873? That would give you 55,127. This would represent the amount to be applied to your lease liability. So please deduct, class. Help me here. 248410 minus 55,127. 193,283. That would be the balance, class, after the first year, after 20x0. So if you were asked how much is the balance on December 31, 20x0, our answer would be 193,283. But why is that not the answer in this problem? We are asked for December 31, 20x1 and not 20x0. Okay, so what do you have to do? Continue amortizing, class. Okay, what will happen in 20x1? You will make another payment of how much? 75,000. Are you going to deduct 19,873 to your 75,000 for year 2, class? No, because the splitting, class, the portion applicable to interest and applicable to principal will no longer be the same because the outstanding liability has already decreased. So you will have to recompute anew your interest for 20x1. And how do you do that? Still use 8%, but do not multiply it anymore with 248410. You multiply it with the outstanding balance for the second year. How much was the second balance for the second year? It was the 193,283. So how much is 193,283? Multiplied by 8%. 15,462. And that is the interest component of your second 75,000. So what are you going to do next? Deduct 15,462 from 75,000. How much is 75,000 minus 15,462? 59,538. And this is now the amount that represents the principal payment. This is the amount that you will have to deduct to your outstanding lease liability. To what amount are you going to deduct the 59,538? Do you deduct 59,538 from the original 248410? No, you deduct it from the 193,283. So how much is 193,283 minus 59,538, class? 133,475. And that would be the answer. And again, I cannot emphasize this enough, class. Everything I've mentioned on how to compute, class, is not something new or unique for lease topic, class. This is how you amortize any long-term liability that is subject to periodic payments, class. The amortization is not new. What is supposedly new here? Just on the rule of the use of your interest rate. What rate are you supposed to use, class? Implicit interest rate. If it's not available, you can use the incremental borrowing rate. Proceed to the next question. The company incorrectly accounts for a finance lease as an operating lease. Which of the following statements about the company's financial statements is correct? What happened? It was recorded as a finance lease instead of an operating lease. Let's start with the fourth option first, class. The company will not record an ROU asset at the inception of the lease, even though it should. Because what does ROU stand for? Right of use. Because whether it's classified as an operating lease or a finance lease under US GAAP, you will recognize a right of use asset. Okay? So even if there was an error in the classification in this problem, class, there will still be a right of use asset. Okay? So definitely the answer here will not be the fourth choice. Next, the total expenses will increase each year of the lease, even though it should not. Okay, what did the problem do here? operate, it classified accounts for a finance lease as an operating, accounts for an finance lease as an operating lease. It is supposed to be a finance lease, but it was accounted for as an operating lease. What's the main feature of an operating lease class? Your total lease expense is equal every year. Again, very important. But again, given how I've emphasized the importance of the criteria, you might not bother remembering this one. In operating lease class, what are you supposed to remember? Your total lease expense will be equal every year. Okay? Total expenses will just be spread out using the straight line method class. So the third choice then, when it states the total lease expense will increase each year of the lease, even though it should not, this is wrong. Okay? Second choice, the company will correctly record the lease liability at the inception of the lease, even though it classifies the lease incorrectly. Okay, so for both, you will also have lease liability class. So the answer here would be the second choice. Next. Question here is how much of the first payment is interest expense and how much is a reduction of the lease liability? Okay, so this should be an easy question for you. Okay, entered into a finance lease with ABC company. The XYZ company will make annual payment of 25,000 for 5 years as part of the lease, with the first payment due at the end of the year. Again, as what I've mentioned, payments are almost always at the end of the year. The interest rate implicit in the lease is 8%, and the lease liability is, where is it? Properly calculated to be 99,818. How much the first liability of the first payment? Okay. So what do we do? Split the 25,000. How are we going to split the 25,000? Compute for the interest component first. What rate are we going to use? The implicit rate of 8%. Multiply that with the what? The initial lease liability. How much is the initial lease liability? 99,818. How much is 8% of 99,818? 7,985. And that already gives you your answer, class. Interest expense is 7,985. You deduct 7,985 from 25,000. The remaining portion will be the amount that will be applied to your lease liability. So what's the answer here? The answer is the second choice. Next question, which of the following conditions is not likely to be part of the finance lease? Plus, if these kind of questions come out with our class, and you still get it wrong, sige, we'll forgive you. Right? This requires analysis, not simple recall of the condition. Okay, first choice. So if you get it wrong, you're saying you cannot analyze class. You can simply remember. First, the legal owner is responsible for all insurance on the property. So who is taking responsibility of the insurance of the property? It is the lessor. So the risk and the reward, the risk is still, or the responsibility is still with the lessor. So will this make it a finance lease? No, you already have your answer. Okay, the answer here will be the first choice. Let's try to go over the other choices. Okay, the lessee records an asset on its balance sheet. Okay, this is incorrect because again, as what we've mentioned, whether it's a finance lease or an operating lease, you would still recognize an asset class. For an operating lease, you would record a right of use asset. Third choice, the lessee pays all maintenance on the property. Plus the lessee is already assuming the payment of the maintenance, then this could be part of a finance lease. Okay, we're looking for the option that is not likely class. Okay, that's why the answer here is the first choice. Let's just try to eliminate the fourth choice. The lessee assumes the risk commonly held by an owner. Again, that would make the lease a finance lease. Okay, next problem. Class, if there's a zero in the choice, class, please be careful. Okay, the problem might not be a finance lease at all. Okay, here, the inception of the, you might be asked, how much is your uh, uh, interest expense? Okay, so you will have to check whether it's a finance lease or an operating lease. Always check if you can see zero in the choices, class. Okay, on December 30, year 5, the company leased a typical new machine from Gavin Corporation. The following data relate to the lease transaction at the inception of the lease. The lease has no purchase option and the possession of the machine reverts to Gavin when the lease terminates, meaning there is no transfer of ownership. At the inception of the lease, Howard should record the lease liability of... Let's check first whether this is a finance lease or not. There's no BPO, there's no transfer of ownership. What else can we check, class? It did not tell us whether the asset is of specialized use. Let's try useful life. What's the term, the lease term? 11. The useful life is 13. 11 divided by 13 will give you how much? How much? How much is that percentage-wise? So it did not reach 90, class. Because we're not going to use 90, we're going to use 75. So if it's the life, 75. If it's the MLP, it's 90%. Plus, do we have to check the PV of MLP and compare it with the fair value of the UA? Not anymore, because if anyone is present, then that would make it a finance lease. Okay? There's annuity due factor given lagi, class. Let's see. When's the payment? At the end of each lease year. So the annuity due factor here is not relevant. Okay, so we're looking for the initial balance, class. How do we know that we're looking for the initial balance of the lease liability, class? It is introduced as, the question is introduced as at the inception of the lease, meaning at the start. So meaning the initial balance of the lease liability. And again, what's the initial balance of the lease liability, class? As I mentioned, it will be the PV of your MLP. So you get the present value of your MLP. What is your lease payments here, class? How much are you going to pay each year? 120. And how do you get the present value? You multiply it with a factor. What factor are you going to use? Ordinary annuity or annuity due? Ordinary annuity, because the payments happen at the end of each lease year. So you will use 6.2065. Because you will not even be asked to solve for the factors anymore, class. The factors are given to you. So again, going back, your trauma is in your lease accounting, you're the ones computing for the factor. You have problems in determining whether it's annuity due or ordinary annuity, but your bigger problem is you might even not have memorized the computation for the PV factor, class. Again, that's not even a problem here. CMA exam will give it to you already. So what we do, multiply 120,000 by 6.2065, and that will give you 744,780, and that's it. In your financial accounting class, aside from your annual payments, you will be given with guaranteed residual value, unguaranteed residual value as part of your MLP, but that does not happen here. Okay, so there's really nothing to be afraid of in this topic, class. Okay, approach this topic, class, without your baggages from your intermediate accounting. Number 11. Next. Okay, it looks like a problem, but when you look at the choices class, it does not even have numbers. A firm has just signed a 6-year lease on a new standardized machine, after which the machine will be returned to the lessor. The lease should be classified as, the fair value is 450. Are we given with the PV of the MLP? No, but we're given with a factor. Please quickly solve, class. For the PV of the MLP is 75 multiplied by 4.6229. How much is 75,000 times 4.6229? 346,718. Divide that by 450, class. 77%. It exceeds 75%. So this must be finance lease, correct? No, because if we're comparing PV of MLP with FV of the asset, it's not 75%, it is 90%. And as what you've computed, it is only how much, class? 77%. Proceed to the next criteria. No other criteria can be determined. The problem did not, are we given with the lease term also? Yes, lease term is 6 and the useful life of the asset is 10, and that is only 60%. Does it satisfy our criteria for the major part of the life of the asset? No, because for it to constitute major life, it must be major part of the life, it must be 90%, correct? No, it is 75%. Okay, so again, it under the PV of MLP and the life of the asset, it will not qualify as a finance lease. So the answer here would be operating lease. Similar problem, class. The lease should be classified as, fair value is 420. Are we given the PV of MLP? No, but can it be computed, class? Yes. PV factor is given 5.3349. Lease payments are 72,000 per year, and again at the end of the year. So no challenge, class. 72,000 times 5.3349. How much will that give you? 384,113. Divide that by 420. 384,113 divided by 420. That will give you 91.5%. Does it satisfy any of the criteria, class? Okay, no need to proceed to the other criteria, correct? So this would be classified as a finance lease. Number 13, a lease is considered a finance lease if any of the 5 specific conditions are true. Which of the following is not one of those conditions? So this is now the question that is unforgivable if you will get it wrong. The lease contains a bargain purchase option. Finance lease or not? The present value of the minimum lease payment exceeds approximately half. We've never mentioned or talked about half ever, class. So will this make it a finance lease? No. What do we have to change here? Change it to substantially all or majority, class? Major part or substantially all? Substantially all. Next choice, specialized use of the lessee. Fourth choice, transfer of ownership. So the third and fourth choice will make it a finance lease. So the answer here would be the second choice. Next, let's try to answer as many problems as we can before the earthquake drill. It's a fire drill, not an earthquake drill. Yeah, I'm targeting that. So, class, quiet down so that we can all leave before the drill. What is the correct classification of each lease? Lease X, start with lease X. Lease term is 11. How much is the useful life? 11 divided by 16, that's just around 67. How much? 69%. So it did not reach 75%, but it has a bargain purchase option. So lease X would be a finance lease. Proceed to lease Y. 16 years and then 16 years. So definitely all of the, not just for the major part, but for the entirety of the life of the asset. So both would be classified as finance lease. Imagine this would just be the kind of questions, class. Hopefully. The entry to record the initial recognition of a finance lease would include which of the following? Debit, the right of use, and credit, lease liability. So answer here is the fourth choice. Next, BCG company records the same amount of total expense related to a lease 4 years in a row. What is the correct conclusion to draw about this lease? If it's equal every year, then this must be an operating lease. So the answer here is the fourth choice. Next, a firm must just sign a 10. Let's do this quickly, class. Okay, this is just a similar problem. A firm must just sign a 10-year lease on a new machine. Fair value is 450. Quickly solve, class, for the MLP. We're not given with the factor because the useful life is 11 and it is 4, 10. 10 divided by 11 is 91%. So this would be a finance lease. Next, a company signs a 4-year lease for a piece of machinery on January 1, 20X0. Total expense. What is being asked here? What is the total expense related to the lease for 20X0? Okay. First is the interest expense, class. Solve for the interest expense first. How much is the initial balance of the lease liability? 248,410. Multiplied with what rate? 8% because the implicit rate is not available. 248,410 times 8%. This is a similar problem, Kasa, but the question is just changed. So 248,410 times 8% is 19,873. So that would give you how much? 19,873. But that will not just be the source of your expenses, class. Okay, in a finance lease, aside from the interest expense, you will have the amortization of your right of use asset or some kind of depreciation on the right of use asset, class. Okay, and the amortization will just be done straight line, class. How much is the value of the right of use asset? What will be the initial balance of the right of use asset, class? The same as the lease liability, but it would be amortized over the lease term using the straight line method. So what do you do? Divide 248,410 by 4. How much is 248,410 divided by 4? Compute, class. 248,410 divided by 4. 62,103. Okay, so your amortization of the right of use asset, variation of your depreciation expense, class, is 62,103. You add the interest expense of 19,873. How much will you get? 62,103 plus 19,873. 81,976. Okay, and that would be the answer. Next, lease 1. Lease 1, lease term is 13 years. What's the useful life? 20. That's just 65%. Okay, does that qualify, class, into a finance lease? No. But the type of asset is specialized. So will that make lease 1 a finance lease? Yes. Okay. Next, lease 2. The lease term is for 16 years. 16 years divided by 20, that's 80. Will that make it a finance lease? Class, 80%. Yes, because greater than 75, or no, because lesser than 90? Yes, because greater than 75. Class, please do not confuse the 75 and the 90, class. Huh? So that means both are finance leases. Lease 1 and lease 2 are finance leases. So does that mean the answer will always be both are finance lease, class? No. Always check, class. Where are we now? Is this list A and list B class? Is the next question list A and list B? What's the next question? Ah? Okay. Okay. Let's answer list A and list B class. List A and list B, 7 years out of 12. I cannot compute that class. How much is 7 divided by 12? 58. So it fails. Next. 185 divided by 200. That's 92.5%. So it qualifies. List B, 8 years divided by 12. That's 67%. 175 divided by 200. That's 87.5%. So it fails. So that means the answer is not always both. So here, list A is a finance list. List B is an operating list. Okay, next. If a company recognizes total lease-related expense of 70,000 in the first year of an operating lease, how much expense would it recognize in the second year of the lease, assuming lease payments are the same year? What kind of lease is this class? Operating. So if it is 70,000 in year 1, in year 2 it would also be 70,000. Next. Which of the following statements concerning lease accounting is correct? Class, answer here would be, I'll give you the answers na lang, class. Answer would be the first choice, a lessee records a lease liability for both a finance lease and an operating lease. So that means the second, third, and fourth choice are not correct, class. Okay. Next, which of the following statements is not an example of something that results in a lease being classified as a finance lease? The answer here will be the second choice. The lease term is for 50%. Instead of 50%, it should be major part or 75%. Next, ABF. What's the answer here? What is the correct conclusion to draw about this lease? The same amount of amortization of its right of use asset to 3 years. The answer here is the third choice, class. Because in operating lease, total expense would be equal, but your amortization would not be equal. Okay, it will balance out the interest. Okay, so the answer here is the third choice. ABF classify this lease as a finance lease since an ROU asset is recognized on a straight line basis for a finance lease. Next, I believe you can analyze this already. Answer here would be finance lease and finance lease. Now, even without analyzing, you just remember almost always it's both finance lease. Next, which of don't follow that because I always go over the problem. Which of the following statements is not an example of something that results in a lease being classified as a finance lease? Answer here is the first choice. The lessee has the right to purchase the asset at the end of the lease for its fair value at that time. Okay, if you're paying for the fair value, then you do not have any bargain purchase option. Robbins Incorporated, answer there would be 59,722. Next, if a company recognizes total lease-related expenses of 50 in the first year of a finance lease, how much expense will it recognize in the second year of the lease, assuming the lease payments are the same each year? Because if this had been an operating lease, total lease-related expense would be the same. But since this is a finance lease, it would be different. Your answer here would be less than 50,000. Because your interest expense would be lesser, class. The amortization would be equal every year in a finance lease, but the interest expense would be lower. Next, a company signs a 4-year lease. Answer here would be 119,620. Next, a company signs a 4-year lease. What is the total expense related to the lease for 20x0? Answer here would just be 68,000 plus. Last question. The answer here is the second choice. A lessee records an ROU asset for both a finance lease and an operating lease. Before we end, what's the one thing I want you to remember for Lee's class? It would be the 5 criteria. What's the first one? Transfer of ownership to whom? Let's say when? At the end of the lease term. Second is bargain purchase option. What is your bargain purchase option? It is the option to purchase the underlying asset at a bargain price. What do we consider as a bargain price? A price that is significantly lower than the expected market value at the end of the lease term. What's the third criteria? Major part. Okay, major part of what? The remaining economic useful life of the asset. The lease term has to be a major part of the remaining economic life of the asset. What will constitute a major part, class? When will the lease term be a major part of the remaining economic life? If it is at least 75%. What's the fourth thing to remember? MLP. What does MLP stand for? Minimum lease payments. Okay, what do we have to compare? PV of MLP and FV of UA. The PV of MLP must be substantially all of the FV of the UA. What is PV of MLP? Present value of minimum lease payments. What is FV of UA? Fair value of the underlying assets. When can we say that the PV of MLP is substantially all of the fair value of the underlying asset? If it is at least 90%. In getting the PV of MLP, what rate are you going to use? Implicit rate. If it's not given, use the incremental borrowing rate. What's the final criteria? Specialized use. If the asset is of specialized use to the lessee, that it does not have a practical use to the lessor, then it will now make it a finance lease. Okay, so thank you and go home.